Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today, I think we're going to start work on an industrial sauna, the power spine, and possibly that massive amount of Dreco farms that we're going to need to continue to sustain the dupes that we're printing out. We're sitting at 89 duplicants here on cycle 261, but that number's only going to continue to rise, and unless they're bionic dupes, well, they need to eat. Speaking of bionic dupes, I needed to add another bionic schedule and shift it. I put old Trevor and Jackie on this one because, well, 4 bionic dupes was too much for this one gunk extractor, which then caused them to start using the regular toilets. And, well, that makes a mess out of the entire system. As you can see, we have some gunk in here. I will plumb that out, even though it has already done a little bit of damage to our water sieve and some toilets. The other issue is, it doesn't look like anybody can take the bottle of gunk out of the bottle filler automatically. You can see I have max storage capacity of 200, and in the apothecary I have gear bomb on infinite, yet there are no errands. So I really hope I'm not going to have to empty this storage every single time just in order to start making more gear bomb. I also realized in the recording of the last episode, I had printed out a second Kill-A-Who. And while there are members who support me on both Patreon and on YouTube membership, for the purposes of this series, I'm only trying to print each person out once. So I have renamed the second Kill-A-Who to Trevor Warland, who is actually duplicate number 89. And just as a reminder to give Trevor the proper introduction that they deserve, their personal interests are ranching and suit wearing, and their negatives aren't really a factor because, well, they're a kitchen menace, uncultured, and have a small bladder. And apparently they like putting stickers everywhere too. Another issue I found is, well, I've gotten my barracks all messed up because we're missing barracks. Here we have M. Ralphs, and they are sleeping in this barracks even though it's supposed to be for just bionic dupes. But you can see we've assigned 3 of them correctly because here's their microchips. I just gotta find where the other microchip is. Unless they actually didn't have a barracks to go to sleep in, and it doesn't look like they did. So I'm pretty sure that one is supposed to be Jackie's. No, here's Jackie's. It's Trevor's. But this also means I'm still going to need a couple of more barracks. There's no reason why I can't just slide this one right into here. We'll dig a little bit of it out. And I think we'll go with some nice camping cots this time. Now, on the subject of the work that we're going to be doing today, starting with the power spine and figuring out where the industrial sauna is going to be going, I wanted to put a nice fire pole on this ladder rung so the duplicants could, slide really quickly when they're working on the power spine. Unfortunately, we're starting to run out of ores. Yeah, we have 75 tons worth of iron ore, but we're going to need that for steel. The refined metal in the long term we're not too concerned about, because I have a metal volcano around here somewhere. Here it is. And eventually it is going to start erupting again in 26 cycles. That'll be great. But it just means that we're not going to need any refined metal. Oh, it is not a copper volcano. It is an iron volcano. So maybe I can use that iron ore for ore type of things. But I have decided that I am going to put in the plastic because, well, we have plenty of plastic and the duplicants run on it a lot quicker. And there are some sources of ore still remaining around. You can see there's some copper ore here, some iron ore here. But for a large part, the only biomes that are really left that are rich in ore are the slime biomes and the space biome. But I don't want to work in the space quite yet. Ooh, what's the temperature in here? We're already up to about 7 degrees. And this little cooling system here did not work. Not even close. The oxygen coming through is still ending up being around 50 degrees. The Wheezeworts just cannot keep up. But as I was saying, the rest of the biomes really don't. We have a few salty biomes over here, some cold biomes, well, a few massive cold biomes, and then of course the oil biome, which does have lead, but you can't use it as an ore. In fact, I want to do a little bit more exploring over here so we can get vision on this little area. And once we have done that, then I can decide where the industrial sauna is going to go. But for the power spine, I think we're going to go directly to heavy watt conductive wire because we can use that lead. Obviously, with the lower overheat temperature of -20, you always have to keep an eye on what you're using out of lead. But remember, wires don't have an overheat temperature. All they have is a melting point, and that doesn't happen until 327. So I don't see why we can't also start building this. Trying to find a good spot that is somewhat hugging the side, but not too close to where the neutronium would become an issue. I'm thinking right here is good. We'll just run it all the way down and all the way up. Okay, something's going on with this apothecary because I've gotten the gunk out and yet the apothecary still has no errands. Did I mistakenly put some automation through it? What is this here? 80 kilos worth of gear balm? I'm not sure how much each bionic dupe needs of gear balm, so I'm going to make this a lot bigger. I'm going to say 500. I forgot I put some automation on this. I wonder if the auto sweeper could take the gunk out of the bottle filler. Of course, it looks like it already has 80 kilos loaded, so that should take care of the bionic dupe's gear needs. Their oxygen needs are being met because they breathe the same amount as a duplicant, and if there are no oxygen canisters around, they will just inhale from the area around them, but they don't get as much oxygen at a time when they're doing it that way, versus when they inject a 200 kilo bottle of oxygen directly into their system. But being able to hold their breath for longer is sort of the advantage of using the oxygen tanks versus letting them breathe on their own. Let's find out who duplicant number 90 is going to be. Harold was so close to being printed out. Unfortunately, they are flatulent, and I don't want to deal with that, but they are a great doctor decorator. So it looks like we're going to be going with this ulti, who starts with a suit training booster, which gives them a +5 to athletics. So welcome to duplicant number 90 here in cycle 263, Kronos. But with another bionic dupe, I really need to get some proper bionic dupe areas. This is not going to be sufficient. So I'm thinking of a room big enough to have multiple gunk extractors. And since it is a flush toilet, it would make sense to put it in a washroom so that they could get a room bonus. Because bionic dupes do have skills and they do have a morale requirement. Now in this case, I think we're going to go with improved gears for the 50% grinding gears penalty reduction. Oh, actually no, we're going to use schematics. It allows them to use the soldering station and gives them a bonus +2 to athletics. And look, they have their own little schematics hat. So maybe when I set up a little barracks over here, this is where we'll put all the bionic dupes. After all, they don't really need to be co-located around the mess halls because they don't eat, but they do need to take care of their other things, getting their battery recharged. And those dupes put in our heavy watt conductive wire very quickly. Still working on a little bit of the plastic. And since I think our industrial sauna is going to go somewhere around here, I think it's about time to get rid of the puffs, even though I do like the slime they are giving us. Sorry, puffy boys. It'd be great if you had some wild brethren around here, but sadly no. Look at everybody lining up to the slaughterhouse. And then we'll just clean sweep, destroy everything in here, and start to let this drain. Oh, which apparently we have a wire that's overloaded there because I never replaced it. Oops. And since the duplicants can't get down there because I separated the ladders, I was tired of hearing suffocation messages, I should probably reconnect that temporarily. Now, our existing temporary sauna, where we were refining metals, did give us a total of 14.8 tons of steel. So that should be plenty of steel to put in a lot of the starting equipment that the industrial sauna is going to need. And Valkyrie's stuck and very happy about it. I should probably accelerate those. But at least Valkyrie can breathe. They're going to be okay. But things like all these extra hydrogen generators are all going to go inside this sauna. So that way we're capturing as much of the heat as possible. And considering we have 4 spawns, that's quite a bit of hydrogen. We also have a lot of natural gas. In fact, it's just about overpressured in this one. Although this one's pretty well drained. Because they too will go inside the sauna. I think I should also put some of these power banks in there. They do generate quite a bit of heat. And they run pretty constantly, and it's still not enough. Look at all of our empty eco power banks. Right now we do have a reserve of 600 joules, so our bionic dupes are fine. But the risk is if they run out of power, well, they can't breathe. I did just watch a dupe take some gunk out of the bottle filler and put it in the apothecary, so that entire nonsense I was talking about earlier was just the fact that, well, I had the storage bin set too low. Disaster averted on that one. I think we got the start of the frame in here. Our steam turbines will go on top of this level here. It'll give us a decent amount of separation. And I am going to have the duplicants enter through here or on this side, so it'll be 2 double liquid locks. I wanted to at least have an entrance here. That way I could slip the heavy watt conductive wire in. but I suppose it makes sense to have 2 of them here. I'm hoping this is enough room. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be a dirty brick yet. We do have the natural gas generators, but I can still pump out the carbon dioxide. The rest of it is just going to be metal refineries and hydrogen generators. Eventually a molecular forge, so this should be okay. I am a little worried it's not enough room. Maybe I should change this and allow it to go a little bit further down. Something like that. Yeah, I think I will do that. I'm gonna have to move a bunch of this out of the way, but the gas reservoir, I can just change the material into steel, and we shouldn't lose any of the gas that's sitting in it. Critical power level. Screwy girl, you only have 29 joules left. Go get some power. Oh, that's because we are sort of out of power. We don't have any on the reserve. Man, these things take way too long. Okay, there's an eco power bank. Hopefully, Screwy girl is gonna come get this. Now I'm thinking I need to make this even larger. I'm already making a modification to design. This is going to be the only entrance over here. And the reason why is suits. Completely forgot that I would need more room for suits. I could have obviously moved them all over, but I thought this would be a decent way to do this anyways. And I'm thinking probably 10 suit docks that'll be fed with the oxygen coming directly from here. And it looks like I was completely wrong, because we have natural gas just about everywhere. When they went to rebuild the golden gas reservoir out of steel, all of that old natural gas just got exploded out. That stinks. But we're gonna have to vacuum this place out, so I will provide a filter, and any natural gas that is coming from here will get filtered and put back into this tank. The rest, I'm just gonna high pressure gas vent it out here somewhere. In fact, I'll put it right here. And here's what that setup looks like. Each pump is heading towards its own gas filter. If it's natural gas, it's going to be pumped right back into this tank. If it's not, it's going to be heading towards these high pressure gas vents. And I'm thinking 4 gas pumps will be able to vacuum this out in a decent amount of time, although more would definitely be better. And there's our next dupe, but I do have to get started with a liquid lock. So I will deconstruct those and then start to fill both of these up. Now the question is, what are we going to use? Personally, I'd like to use gunk. This new liquid has a pretty wide thermal range, doesn't freeze until minus 8.1, and doesn't evaporate until 447. Unfortunately, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And if I start taking gunk away from the bionic duplicants, well then I won't have enough to make more gear balm. So we're going to be using oil. We do have a pitcher pump, and somehow I have polluted water in here because why not? Oh, you know what? I can finally go and deconstruct this battery. Getting rid of one of these annoying messages, that's going to be great. I'll also add another pitcher pump down here so the duplicants can go grab some oil. And why is there polluted water everywhere? All right, enough delaying. Let's get duplicate number 91. Oh my goodness, 3 more bionic dupes? One thing I'll say that I do like about the bionic dupes is they all start with that nice bonus athletics. And, well, they don't eat. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still the disadvantage that they require a massive amount of power, and you got to keep up with their maintenance, with their lubrication, but this isn't too bad. I think we're going to add Gizmo here. They are a rancher, which that's going to come in handy when we start building all those Dreco ranches, although they will level up slightly slower because they have a -3 to science. Welcome to duplicant number 91. Cost? Maybe Coast? And I'm going to do the same thing with Coast and go directly into the schematics for the additional bonus athletics. Oh no. Apparently I didn't mess up the earlier Trevor. I just noticed that this Trevor was sleeping in the room that lights up for the dupes that are afraid of the dark or, meditate. It is this Trevor that needed the cot, but it also means the next dupe wasn't Trevor Warland. It should have been Urifa. Man, managing all these duplicants is starting to get really tricky. Sorry about that, Urifa. We'll get you sorted out here soon. Oh no, and what's going on with Kronos? They have 100% stress reaction. Oh, I cannot click through all these duplicants. Let me reset it, please. Okay, I think the easiest way is just going to be going into the vitals. Kronos, you're a bionic dupe with 100% stress, which means, yep, you're sitting in the water. Bad Kronos. Here's another one of those disadvantages I was telling you about. Get out of the water, buddy. Am I gonna have to put access doors in every place that has to go into the water? Oh yeah, now Kronos is just wandering about, zapping people. And now they're incapacitated because they're out of power, probably because they've been swimming down here. I'm already asking for one change. If there's an errand in the water and an errand out of water, the biodupe should not do the one that's in the water. It says we have to deliver a charged power bank. Right now they have 115 kilos worth of oxygen, so they're okay down there for a minute. Hopefully someone's going to get them. Trevor, no, we are not going in the water. This is all started because, well, I reconnected all the ladders. I was like, it's all right, we have a lot more oxygen up here, so the duplicants are going to be safe. Well, then bionic dupes got inserted into my life. Seriously, is someone going to bring poor Kronos a battery? Thank you, Dave Hammer. We appreciate you. Now stay out of the water, Kronos. By the way, something to notice, Kronos is still having a stress reaction, so they're stress zapping, and that's the reason why their power bank was going off the charts. We just installed that eco power bank and it's almost dry already. Keep stressing out if you want to, buddy, but it's gonna be your demise. And there they go again. Did you at least breathe before you did that? 91 kilos for us to get another power bank for poor Kronos. Yeah, this is not gonna work at all. Now Cost is down here sweeping stuff up, which of course has stressed them out, so they are zapping everybody and everything around them. I'm gonna make some quick metal power banks. I don't love using these because they are just a one-off, one use, but at least to give me a couple of extra power banks until I get our power bank recharging system up to snub. Cost is done freaking out, it looks like, and they are incapacitated, but luckily enough, they have 177 kilos worth of oxygen, so they should be okay by the time we get those extra power banks. Now you might be wondering, well, what about when they're going through liquid locks? It's sort of okay, because yes, they'll get the zappy zaps once or twice, but that's not a continuous sort of soaking like it is when they're swimming and running around in the water. So I'm going to try by putting a pneumatic door here. I wish there was a button that says do not allow bionic dupes, and then I just have to go find all of our bionic dupes. And then I have to update this every time we print a new bionic dupe. Although it does look like all the bionic dupes are down at the bottom. With those set, we should no longer have any more of those type of problems. Seriously, is anybody gonna get Cost a wonderful new power bank? And in typical Echo fashion, I had completely forgotten to set these filters, so most of the natural gas ended up out here anyways. It's okay, not a big deal. I'm just gonna put another gas pump out here and filter it. Hopefully this time not forgetting to set it correctly. I'll have everything be dumped into there, unless it's natural gas, and it will rejoin all of its natural gas friends down here in this buffer tank. Look, this may be a first on this channel, but we're gonna blame the dupes. Because if I wasn't having so many problems with, you know, batteries and breathing, I would have remembered to set the filters. Jackie Chica is presenting somewhat of a problem. They ran out of power inside the farm stable. And so duplicants were in here busy doing farming, which means there was no suits. So I had to disable the Atmosuit checkpoint, that way someone could get in here and put a battery inside old Jackie. Granted, it looks like it's going to take one or two times, because in this case, Glenn Sullivan would run out of oxygen if they had to do the whole thing in one breath. I've also noticed one of the issues is the speed at which I'm running the game. Right now, we're sitting at around 25 frames per second. And when I am running in normal speed, or slow speed as it says, the duplicants can travel, they can go grab whatever they're looking for down here, and then they can travel up without end up suffocating. But as soon as I go to medium speed, well, the duplicants take a little bit longer to figure out what they're going to do. For the record, I do use a speed mob, so my medium speed is a ×3, whereas my fast speed is a ×9. But as you can see, sometimes the duplicants just end up sitting there, like Bob ate my Bob, trying to figure out what to do next, and then end up realizing, oh, I can't breathe down here. So let's go ahead and make matters worse and print out another dupe. And of course, it's another bionic dupe. We're gonna go with this Ulti here, naming bug beside. This is obviously not another Kronos, but Ulti starts with the suit training bonus, and then when I end up giving them the schematics, they're gonna get another +2, so those come out the gate with a +7 to athletics. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 92, Jake W. And for now, I think Jake W is just going to assign themselves this camping cot. They should be okay because they won't be around any duplicants when they're doing their meditating. And at least until I get the whole bionic situation set up. And this amber fossil has already been excavated. So I'm going to go ahead and demolish it and then get rid of these tiles. And I think I'm going to put some sort of bionic setup right here. Second verse, same as the first. When dupes can't do it, maybe we should let the machines do it. I'm going to put in a bunch of temporary auto sweepers and conveyor loaders and have them take all the debris out of this area so they never have to come down here again. What they're trying to get is all the slime. But it's been a sort of vicious cycle. They keep grabbing the slime and then dropping it. So I have all those loaders connected to rail and everything's going to be dropped off right here where they shouldn't have any more issues picking this stuff up. And then the conveyor loader, I'm going to start off by just saying slime. And it looks like there is no more slime here. I'm still going to leave it set. In case the dupe does try to get some slime, it'll drop here. And this auto sweeper will still be able to grab everything. Okay, I swear this save is just broken. All I'm getting is bionic dupes. I don't want any more robo dupes. Again, we're going to go with the suit training booster because coming out of the gate with the +7 to athletics feels very nice. So welcome to the colony, duplicate number 93, Mark Wood. And since we have so many more bionic dupes right now, I've added a couple of power bank chargers here. Although this circuit's not doing a great job. Oh, because this whole circuit's just running off of one hydrogen generator. It'll be flipped over soon, but this is definitely not going to work. I suppose I can put them on this power spine for now. I am going to have a double junction here for the power spine. That way we're not transferring any heat. So it'll probably look something like this, but I need to wait until this whole area is vacuumed out. I could, of course, just bring the wire all the way through here, but I'm trying to make it nice and clean and organized because that's what we do around here. And I'll just put in, let's say, 4 power bank chargers. When vacuuming places like this out, sometimes gases can get trapped in here because it's a difficult area for gases to sort of travel through. So what we're going to do is just build it in with a bunch of solid blocks, allow the whole place to vacuum out fully, which we're getting somewhat close. Yeah, it's not too bad. We only have 2 gases left up there. And then I'll deconstruct all these tiles, fill this side up with oil, and that way there'll be no heat transfer from inside of the sauna to the outside. We also have our steam turbines made out of lead because they're going to be cooled anyways, so it does not matter that we're using lead up here. And then I'm going to be placing a couple of metal refineries. I have to turn this whole place into steam and keep it pretty hot before I can put the natural gas generators in here that are going to start dropping a bunch of polluted water. And I'm thinking about taking this cool steam vent and connecting it directly into here. Yeah, the steam doesn't come out very hot, but I can geotune this to get it hot enough. Yeah, why don't I do that? It's going to be a dumpster fire for a little bit because, well, I'm going to be adding more gases to this whole system, but that's going to be okay. And fortunately for us, our next activity is 5 cycles away, so that'll be pretty handy. I should probably also get started with some suits. Here's a classic example. Notice Chris is just hanging out in the oil, not being able to breathe, and you can see the sort of freezing effect that we occasionally get with the duplicants. It's an issue I'm going to have to deal with, even more so when we add more duplicants. Now the question is, what am I going to make these 10 additional suits out of? I guess it's going to have to be copper. I suppose I could use iron because we do have that iron volcano happening soon. And they will get all their oxygen from this line here. Now 10 suit docks is probably a little bit too much for one line. But remember, we're never going to really have 10 duplicants working in here. But if we ever need surge work, well, the oxygen and the suits will be waiting for them. And oh, happy day. Time for another dupe. Oh, look it, I can have a normal dupe. This Catalina's a pretty good farm-to-table dupe. Not only good at farming, but also supplying and cooking. Now, they are undigging, which isn't great, but for a triple interest dupe, not too bad. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 94, Hell's Bell. All right, step 1 in this reconnection process is going to be deconstructing these. How many cycles do we have? 4.5 cycles. I don't think they're going to be able to get it vacuumed out in 4.5 cycles, but a lot of this steam is going to interact with these buildings and turn into water anyways. So I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about the pumps overheating. I've already made the gas reservoirs out of steel, so we should have enough time to be able to deal with all this. Then I just need to deconstruct the top here and then build this down like this. I'm also having to add another temporary gunk extractor. Well, a couple of them, because the Bionic dupes would rather go to a gunk extractor, but if there's not one available, oh, Kronos. Oh, and cost, because they're all on the same schedule, they'll just use a regular toilet. Then, once the dupe comes and fixes the lavatory, that gunk gets released into our bathroom system, where that extra water is then put into our oxygen supply, which continuously breaks our spawns. Just once. It'd be great to have a chaos-free episode. I'm also having to connect some of these coal generators into the main power spine because the natural gas generators cannot keep up with all the demand, especially considering we added some power bank chargers onto them. And you can see our natural gas supply is going down quickly as well. Of course, this one's not even connected. So I can go into there and then out from here into here and then out from there. That will look good. And I set these batteries at 90/40. Coal generation will be our last resort. The natural gas generators will be on 90/60 and the hydrogen generators will be on 90/80. Next up in the pod is a trio of Bionic dupes again. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the game rickrolls me. For the Bionic dupes, I do look at their negatives. You can see they call them Bionic bugs, and they do seem to be different. This chip is disassociative, which means they have decreased husbandry and medicine, which is not a big deal. But the real reason why chip is getting printed is because, again, they have the suit training booster. So welcome to the colony, duplicant number 95, Icky Stew. And once again, because the Bionics are getting to be so ample, I'm going to duplicate this schedule. I have added some extra buildings, but it won't be too bad either way. And then I'll just throw some of them down here. Let's go, Jake. I'm going to have to rename these too. Icky Stew, Mark Wood, and cost can go to the second one. So we're just going to call these Bionic Schedule 2. Now let's make it Bionic Schedule Bravo. That sounds more bionic, huh? So we have Bionic Schedules Alpha, Bravo, and soon to be Charlie. And I say that with all of our new buildings I've put in, but Mark Wood here is incapacitated. Let's see how much danger we're in. Well, they have 150 kilos, and Gabby Gabs is already there to fix them up. We'll get there, slow and steady, because I'm going to be adding a bunch of those power rechargers here. I mean, eventually this thing's going to get vacuumed out, right? One good thing about the spawns breaking is it allows me to get back in there, because what I'm going to be doing here is there's an atmo sensor inside of the sauna. Whenever it gets to be more than 20 kilos worth of pressure, an automation signal is going to be sent to this liquid valve that says, hey, allow the water to pass through, and it'll go directly into this spawn. Now, I'm not going to want it to do a 50-50 split. I'm going to want it to have priority. So what I'm going to do is bridge this on just like this. And that way the water coming from these tanks will only be used if this is full. Now, I may have to add some buffer tanks or something to this system, because let's say there's 30 kilos of pressure inside the industrial sauna. Well, when that happens, this line will get backed up, which will just cause it to overflow anyways, which isn't too bad considering we do have a cool steam vent in here, so the pressure is going to continuously rise. But these 5 steam turbines will provide 10 kilos per second when the pressure's too high. And Jake is incapacitated, no doubt because they're running around under this polluted water vent. How are they doing on oxygen? 86 kilos. So somebody should be able to provide them a battery in the soonest. I've got the batteries over here. I've got more batteries being recharged up here. But hey, we've accomplished some things, right? The power spine's going in. We have some work being done on the sauna. It'll be vacuumed out in the next, I don't know, 400 cycles. So we'll see. I should probably also start putting temperature shift plates. That'll help the steam coming from the cool steam vent not necessarily have to erupt immediately. Which, by the way, should I move this over in case I need to get to it? No, it'll be okay. On second thought, I am going to start doing that because I want temperature shift plates behind the cool steam vent that it'll have to heat up first. But all this entire area needs to be connected via temperature shift plate, and that way the heat is spread evenly as well. I'm also starting to research superheated forging because I want to get access to the geotuner so we can geotune that thing up. And right on time, notice that the cool steam vent is erupting, but the temperature shift plates are absorbing a lot of that heat. So the steam is condensing, and as I add more, temperature shift plates, it's going to have to do the same thing. We are using igneous rock, and this is going to take a month of Sundays, but that is okay. The big priority is keeping the steam away from the gas pumps because, well, that will just make a giant mess. Another day, another dupe, and I'm going to be taking this Bonnie despite being a slow learner because I don't want any more robot dupes. This Bonnie is good at farming, digging, and rocketry. Unfortunately, they are a slow learner. Welcome to the colony, duplicant number 96, Next Wastelander. A little bit of ONI ASMR happening now as I put in the rest of the temperature shift plates. We are still vacuuming this thing out. I'm using igneous rock because of its slow heating, which in addition to being slow heating, which yes, it's slow to heat up, but that means it holds its temperature a little bit better as well. Now some of these are going to get replaced because as you can see, I've made these 3 tiles high. This level is going to be 4 tiles high. And where I can get away with it, I will make the rest 3 tiles high to conserve as much space as possible. But for now, this will work and help to make sure that there is no steam until, well, we're ready for it. Well, I do love the saunas because they do take all of that heat and turn it into potential energy. They are very resource intensive. Not a big deal for us because, well, we're on a big classic planetoid, but it still represents a lot. It's also times like this that I really should be using the blueprint mod. It would save me a lot of clicks. Oh my goodness. I started seeing a bunch of messes come up, and it's because half the bathrooms have been choked up with gunk. Why aren't they using the gunk extractors? I'm gonna have to put all this extra gunk somewhere. Our poor water sieve is broken. Why aren't you being repaired? Because we're out of copper ore, that makes sense. So let me change the material into, let's say, iron ore. Tony D, really need you to hurry on that one. People are peeing themselves left and right. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal, right? It's just 96 dupes peeing themselves. It's okay. We got a little bit of polluted water everywhere. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Please stop peeing. Haven't any of you ever held it? Another solution to this, of course, would be just not allowing the bionic dupes to come through these doors. But again, that would be another manual process. I wish there was a permission role that said bionic dupe or standard dupe. And the problem all stemmed from this bottle filler being full. I don't know why they're not taking that gunk and putting it where it belongs in the apothecary to make more gear bomb. But needless to say, we have some issues. And during the chaos, of course, it is time to print another dupe. Oh, metal power banks. That would be great. And it's 3 more bionic dupes. I don't understand. Luckily, this ulti, though, is only error prone, and they have the suit training booster. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 96. DeGrolt. Okay, now I see why they're not grabbing it for gear bomb, because we didn't have access to water. Our little temporary tank here was full. Oh, there's gunk in here now. Of course there is. Please let me mop it up. But I didn't put a pitcher pump into this tank yet. So just for temporarily, let me empty this storage. I'll get the apothecary going again. And I'm also adding even more power bank chargers. I can't find any sort of math on how long it takes each charger to charge a battery. Even in the database, it doesn't really show. So I'm going to need to do some experimentation to see how many power bank chargers we need per bionic dupe. You may think you're getting off a little easier because bionic dupes don't eat, but they require a lot of power. Remember, each one of these power bank chargers is 480 watts. Here's a good example of what I was talking about earlier. Notice all of these gas pumps say they're in a vacuum, yet we do have some trapped gas sitting over here. Here's some chlorine gas. Here's some polluted oxygen. So I'm gonna have to move another gas pump right over here. Oh, never mind. It finally got it. Oh my goodness. It's finally vacuumed out. So it's time for me to seal in the second liquid lock and also build this. It's gonna be something right there. You don't really need to use an insulated tile in here, but we shall, just to keep everything sort of matchy-matchy. And then we just add some heavy watt conductive wire and then we'll seal it in. And now I have access to the power spine inside the sauna. The first place that's going to get to use it are the metal refineries and a ton of power bank chargers. I also think I'm going to lower the priority on these temperature shift plates to a 4 just as soon as they deconstruct all of our gas pipes and everything, because I don't think they should be a priority. It's going to take them quite a long time to be able to do it all anyways. And then I'll just have to wait until this cool steam vent eventually warms everything up. I also discovered another small problem. We have some damage in here, and what happened is the cooling loop had stopped completely, which means the polluted water was sitting in these bridges for way too long, which causing it to flash. The problem is I don't know how it got stuck. We only made it bigger, so it should have been fine. It was probably when I added bridges, but it looks like it's starting to flow normal again, so I can stop the plumbing. No, kinda moving. That makes me think it's connected somewhere to another polluted water line, and it's filling up as soon as I end up plumbing some of it out. And of course, in the middle of troubleshooting, it is time for, yes, you guessed it, another dupe. Tell him what he's won, Pat. It's a Stila or another ulti. In this case, I think we're going to end up going with the ulti. Could always use more ranchers, especially in the next few episodes when I start adding a lot more Dreco ranches. Welcome to the colony, duplicant number 98, Matthew Noel. But the reason why I noticed that the cooling loop wasn't working was because of all of the dust caps on this bottom row not working. Now before I got sidetracked, I was going to let you know that we'd have to wait for that cool steam vent to turn that sauna into a nice big room full of steam. Well, it's going to be assisted by these geotuners. Now right now we don't have a lot of bleach stone, or at least a sustainable source of it, which is the material that it takes to geotune a cool steam vent, but we do have 10 tons of it, so we're okay for now. And for that geotuning, we now have the steam being produced at 210 C with an average output of 3.3 kilos per second, which when you compare it to this cool steam vent that is not geotuned, well, it only produces 1.3 kilos per second, which means this one cool steam vent is going to be able to provide just about all the water this spawn's going to need. That way, when we do start getting the steam in here, it will be prioritized over the incoming water exactly as we had planned. Gear balm is being crafted again, so we do not have to worry about the gunk, hopefully, maybe. And the bathroom system is up and working. It's going to take this industrial sauna a little while, so I'll give you more updates when we get to it. I think I've taken just about enough of a thrashing for one episode. I hope you enjoyed all the chaos and are looking forward to more videos in this series. As can be expected, during the holiday period, videos are a little fewer and far between, but don't worry, we'll be getting back on schedule here soon. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.